Are you looking to start selling on Amazon but find yourself overwhelmed with info and just don't quite know where to begin? Well, look no further, because in this video, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know to start selling on Amazon, from creating your Seller Central account all the way to collecting profits in your business. My business makes over $20,000 a month in profit, and my mission is to help you achieve your goals through the power of selling on Amazon. So first things first, let's set up our expectations so we know what we can actually achieve out of selling on Amazon. Amazon is a massive company and more than likely is going to be able to meet any realistic financial goal that you have. You can generally have around a 10 to 20% net profit margin depending on your business model and the type of scale that you're running. In my experience, profit margins generally start out higher and they're going to decrease as you scale your business and start to outsource more and more of the work. But even at just a 10 to 20% profit margin, you're going to be able to meet whatever your financial goals are. Like I said, Amazon is massive and it's a huge pie. You just need to be able to take a small slice of that pie in order to reach your goals. I also want to get this out of the way that this business is not going to build itself overnight. It's not a get rich quick scheme. Amazon is something that you have to work at consistently for a while in order to see long-term success. Now, if you're just trying to make a few $100 a month or maybe even just a couple thousand, you're going to be able to reach that goal a lot sooner than if you're trying to build some massive e-commerce empire. So make sure that you're willing to consistently put in the effort, and over time you will be able to achieve your financial goals through Amazon. I just don't want you to go into this with the expectation that it's going to happen overnight. So what's really important is that we take a minute to identify what your goals are. Before you even dive into learning how to sell on Amazon, you need to write down what you're planning to get out of it. How much money do you want to be making? How much time do you want to be working? Once you can figure those things out, then it's going to help you more clearly take a path and start selling and see success on Amazon. So you're going to have tons of options whenever you start selling on Amazon, and there's a few key primary things that you need to know that you're going to have to decide on. First off is a business model. There's 4 primary business models to Amazon: retail arbitrage, and even within that specifically books, online arbitrage, wholesale, and private label. We'll deep dive into those soon, but those are going to be your primary business models that you can choose from. You're also going to have to decide a fulfillment method. This can vary case by case, but you'll probably want to pick one that you're generally going to go with. The 2 choices are Amazon FBA or Amazon FBM. FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, and it's where Amazon ships all the orders to your customers. They handle a lot of the customer service and really just take a lot of the work off of your back and can lead to increased profitability. FBM is Fulfilled by Merchant, is where you are going to ship your products directly to your customer and you are responsible for a lot of the customer service and a lot more work. You also need to decide a selling plan. This is probably the first key decision when you actually go to set up your account. You're going to need to pick between the individual selling account and the professional selling account. I have a video that I'll link up here that breaks these down further, but basically if you're going to be doing this full time, I would recommend going with that professional selling account plan. It's also going to save you money and open up the door to a lot more opportunities. It's only $39.99 a month, and I think that if you're trying to do this as a legitimate business, then that's just a small price to pay for all of the tools and price savings that it offers. And there's going to be a lot more options that you'll be faced with choosing along the way, but those are the key ones that we need to get out of the way and give you a baseline understanding of. So step number 1 is choosing your selling plan. Like I mentioned earlier, you have the professional or the individual selling account. You need to decide which one you're going to go with. And like I said, I would recommend just going with that professional selling account, but the individual selling plan is an option if you're really just wanting to try things out. Just know that you'll have to pay an extra 99 cents per item. There's no monthly fee, but you do have to pay an extra 99 cents per item that you sell. Step number 2 is to select your business model. Again, those are retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale, or books. I generally recommend to beginners to start out with retail arbitrage. This is how I started almost 3 years ago, back in April of 2020. And it's a business model that is very beginner friendly, and I would highly recommend you start here. Specifically, I like to recommend that people start off at Dollar Tree. You're going to do retail arbitrage where you're going into Dollar Tree, buying items for cheap in store, and then reselling them on Amazon for a profit. Dollar Tree specifically is really good because it's a cheap way to learn the systems. Whenever you first start out, you're going to be making lots of mistakes. You don't know a lot about selling on Amazon, so you're going to misread the data, you're going to make mistakes, and I would much rather you make that mistake on a $1 item than a $20, $30 item, for example, and then imagine that compounded over lots and lots of items every month. I recommend you start with Dollar Tree because it's cheap way to learn the systems, and also it's a really high ROI return on investment, so it's going to allow your capital to scale by focusing on high ROI items. Another good way for beginners to start within retail arbitrage is books. Books are great for the same reasons. They're cheap, you can learn the systems well, and they also have a really high return on investment. Books are a great way to grow your starting capital. And just to tell you a little bit more about books, this is basically retail arbitrage where you're going into places like thrift stores, yard sales, buying used books, and then reselling them on Amazon. Books is a little bit more niche, and you'll need a specific software called Scout IQ. It's really going to be beneficial for booksellers. So if you can't afford that extra software cost, I think it's around $40 a month, then you might just want to stick with the traditional retail arbitrage route. Yes, you can do books without that software, but it's really going to be super helpful in speeding things up for you. Step 3 is going to be product research. This is the most important, most crucial, most critical aspect to your business. You need to ensure that you are finding new products on a regular basis. If this is retail arbitrage, it's going to involve going into the stores. If you're doing online arbitrage, it's going to involve finding new products online. Wholesale, you're going to need new distributors. You're going to need to look for new catalogs. Private label is going to be doing product research and finding new products that you can launch. In this stage, product research, what you're doing is making sure that you're finding products that are overall viable. This includes several key components. You need to make sure that are profitable. You need to ensure that the products are actually going to sell, and you need to ensure that the products are stable. Overall, looking at these aspects and making sure that your product is going to be an overall viable product to resell on Amazon. There are a lot of tools that can help you out in this process. The one that you absolutely need to have is Keepa. Keepa is a tool that allows you to see the historical data for just about any product on Amazon. This will allow you to see if it's historically viable, not just viable today. This is super critical because we want to ensure that we're finding products that are going to be able to be resold long term and not just today. Keepa will show you the price the product has sold for so you can see historically if it's profitable. It'll also show you the sales rank history so you can see if the product is selling well historically. You need to get Keepa and you need to watch tutorials and really understand how to use it properly. The Amazon Seller app can be a great way to measure profitability as well, so I would definitely recommend you download that. It's free. And then once you can afford paid tools, I would recommend getting Seller Amp, RevSeller, Inventory Lab. These all have profit calculators and can help speed up the process, and they come along with other benefits as well. Those definitely aren't needed though, so if you're starting with a limited budget, just get Keepa and the Seller Central app, and then you'll be well along your way to starting a successful business. But what should you actually look for in a product when you're first starting out? I always recommend to beginners to look for at least a 50% return on investment. This means that you should be getting back 50% of your initial investment after everything, after fees, cost of good, everything. So if you buy an item for $10, you need to be making back at least $5 in net profit. This is after fees and after your cost of goods. So let's say you buy an item for 10 and you sell it for 20. You need to ensure that the fees then are going to be less than 5 because that would leave you with $5 room for profit and a 50% return on your investment. In my business, our average ROI is probably around 25%, so it's half of what I'm recommending to you. I recommend a higher ROI to beginners for 2 reasons. One, they probably have less capital to work with, so they need to grow it faster in order to scale the business. 2, that 50% return might end up only being 25, 30, 35% because, again, you don't know what you don't know when you're starting out. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to misread the data, and that 50% target ROI leaves you a buffer to ensure that some profitability is going to happen, even if you're going to misread some of the data on accident. Make sure that you're taking into account inbound shipping if you're doing Amazon FBA. You're going to have to pay to ship your items to the Amazon warehouse. It's usually pretty cheap, but you do need to make sure that you're taking it into account. I see a lot of sellers mess up on this where they're not taking into account the Amazon FBA inbound shipping. You can do it directly in the Amazon Seller Central app, or you can do it in something like RevSeller once you start paying for that. I recommend that people budget around 40 cents per pound for inbound shipping. We usually end up paying like 20 to 25 cents, but I like to budget for 40 even today in my business because it just allows for a buffer and allows for any mistakes that could happen. So let's go ahead and deep dive into some product research options depending on your business model. And I would recommend you go ahead and listen to all of these because it will open up your mind to some different possibilities for how you can find products within each business model. And if any stand out to you specifically, let me know down below which business model and which methods you're going to be trying out. So number 1 is retail arbitrage. I already covered the Dollar Tree method and the way that you can utilize books, but what's the next step from there? So Dollar Tree is a great place to start, but eventually you're going to need to scale up because while it's high ROI, it's high ROI on a low cost item. So if you spend $1 at Dollar Tree and you make $2, that's fantastic. That's a 200% return on your investment. But at the end of the day, it's only $2, and you're not going to be able to scale your business to a large amount by just making $2 at a time. So from there, what I did in my business is I started going to places like Walmart, Target, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and started buying items that would open up more profit opportunities. Walmart clearance can be a great way to get going in those big box stores. You can scan the items in the clearance section, find profit because of the big markdowns in store, and resell them online. Another really great method for these big box stores, especially places that carry grocery or just everyday items, mainly like Walmart and Target, is going to be just getting into the trenches, manually scanning every single item in the aisle. Seriously, it takes forever, but you start at the top left and you move all the way down throughout the entire aisle. Manually scan the items, manually type them in, do some voice search, look for different ways to find these products. A lot of people are not willing to do this, and if you do it, then you can find some really good, solid, replenishable items that you'll be able to sell over and over and over again. I did all those methods in my retail arbitrage business, and I also got really deep into coupon stacking at Kohl's and finding clothing cheap at the outlets. So those were all the models that I did within retail arbitrage, and I would recommend that you try all of those out if you're going to be running an RA business. The next business model sourcing strategies are online arbitrage. There's two primary methods that we like to use in my team. Number one is manually going through website sales. So any kind of sale that we see going on, my team is going to manually go through it. We use things like SellerAmp to speed it up, but just going through every single item and seeing if we can resell it profitably on Amazon. So for example, let's say Nike's having a 25% off site-wide sale. We'll just start looking at all the items at Nike. Maybe we'll start with shoes or joggers or anything specific, and we'll see if we can find a profitable product page on Amazon for that product. We also like to use storefront stocking, where we're looking at other Amazon sellers' storefronts, seeing what products they carry in their catalog, and then seeing if we can find profitable sources for them. So those are our two methods for online arbitrage. I'm going to briefly touch on wholesale and private label, but if you're a beginner, I don't recommend these business models for you because they're not very beginner friendly. For wholesale, it's going to be a lot of Google searching, using softwares like Smart Scout, attending trade shows, just looking for distributors, and then going through their catalogs either manually or using UPC scrapers. I don't recommend this for beginners because it's more capital intensive, but I did want to briefly mention it just so you can be aware. Private label, this is the worst business model for beginners in my opinion, and it's the model that I know the least about. I've never done private label. I've done product launches, but never specifically private label. And again, you're just going to be doing competitor analysis using tools like Helium 10, and you're basically launching your own product on Amazon, having it manufactured overseas with your brand on it. Again, I don't recommend this for beginners, and it's the model that I'm the least knowledgeable about. But again, I wanted to briefly mention it just so you can be aware. If you guys are enjoying the video and getting value, please go ahead and subscribe down below and make sure you turn on notifications so you don't miss any uploads or whenever I go live so that you have the opportunity to ask me questions live. Step 4, now that we've completed product research, we've found some profitable products, we're pumped, we're excited, we want to get these into Amazon so that we can make profit. Step 4 is going to be to create your listings or offers. Now that we've purchased our products, we need to get them listed on our Amazon account so that we can actually sell them. Decide if you're going to be using FBA or FBM, and then create the offer in your Seller Central account. Generally speaking, I think FBA is going to be the better case, and if you're a beginner, I would just stick with that. But you can also check out my video here that shows you the difference between FBA and FBM. Might want to use which fulfillment method. So to create the offer on the listing, you're just going to go into the Amazon Seller app or the Amazon Seller Central website, which is preferred. You're going to click Add a Product, and then you're just going to start filling in the information. You can do a title search and ASIN search, or if you have the UPC, which is the number, the barcode on the product, you can search that and then find the product that you want to list, but you should have already found it already in your product research stage. Using a software like Inventory Lab, which I'll link a tutorial up here, can really speed this up and make the process so much more smooth and so much more efficient, but it's around $70 a month. So if you don't have the funds for it right now, you can just do the manual way, but know that once you have the funds, you should get a tool like Inventory Lab. Now you have your products and you've created your offers in your Amazon Seller account. The next step is going to be to prep and ship these products into Amazon FBA. The other option would be to ship straight to the customer if you're doing FBM, But at this point in the video, I'm just going to assume that you're utilizing the FBA program for the amazing benefits that it offers. Whenever you're prepping your products, you need to ensure that you're following Amazon FBA prep guidelines. I would recommend that you read up on these in Seller Central so that you know everything, but I'll cover a few general guidelines for you. Any kind of liquids that you're sending in are going to need to go in a clear poly bag. Any kind of clothing is going to need to go in a poly bag. Shoes are going to need a rubber band on them so they don't open up. Fragile items are going to need to be bubble wrapped. And this is just to name a few. Like I said, read up on Seller Central for any specific items that you're sending in. And it should tell you on the specific item what you need to do to prep it. Generally speaking, if you're unsure, it's a good idea to over prep. For example, if you don't know if an item needs to go in a poly bag, just go ahead and put it in a poly bag. It's always better to over prep than under prep. There won't be any kind of negatives for over prepping, but there could be a negative for under prepping. Your items could be broken, or Amazon might charge you a fee, which we don't want that at all. We definitely want to make sure that we're following guidelines at a minimum, or over prepping if we're unsure. Now that you have your items prepped, you can actually go ahead and create a shipment, which I have another video going over how to create an Amazon FBA shipment. You can watch it after this. Basically, you can go in Seller Central, select the products in your category that you want to send in, then click send/replenish inventory, then follow the steps to create your Amazon FBA shipment. Again, Inventory Lab is a great tool that can help speed up this process dramatically, but if you're not there yet, then you can just do it the manual way in Seller Central. Make sure that before you send your items, you have all the labels on them. I recommend using the FNSKU labels. The other option would be to commingle your inventory where you don't have to label it, but I don't think that this is a great option. I think that you should FNSKU all of your items and use the Amazon provided barcode on every single item. From there, you're going to box up your shipment and enter what is in each individual box. Inventory Lab makes this process super smooth, but you can also just follow along on the Amazon Central pop-up if you're doing it there. Then you're going to seal up the boxes and then put the box labels on each box. Every box should get 2 labels. One is going to be a label for the shipping, usually through UPS, and the other is going to be an FBA box label telling Amazon what is in your box. Make sure that every box gets 2 labels, and I recommend putting them on the top of the box. Step 6, now that your items are sent in, they're live on Amazon, you need to do repricing. Repricing is the activity of updating your prices on Amazon so that you're remaining competitive. Remember that you don't always need to be the lowest price, but you do want to be priced competitively. Generally, within 2 to 5% of the buy box price, you'll be eligible to get that sale. The buy box is the price that is shown when a customer clicks add to cart or buy now, and over 80% of the sales come through the buy box, so we do want to try and win it to the best of our ability. Don't just keep undercutting your competition. This is considered price tanking and is generally frowned upon and really not necessary to get the sale. Over time, you'll be able to see the listings and understand when you might need to lower your price or when you're able to just keep the price that you're at. As long as you're priced competitively, you should be good to go, but repricing is a crucial aspect to ensure that you're remaining competitive and giving you the best shot to win that buy box and win that sale. You can do this manually whenever you're first starting out, but eventually you'll want to get a repricing software which will do this automatically for you and make sure that you're always staying competitive without you having to manually monitor all of your pricing. Aura is a really good repricer for beginners and I recommend it. I used to use it myself. And then as you scale, I recommend switching over to SellerSnap. It's the best on the market, but it's also pricey. I would recommend switching to SellerSnap once you're selling around $20,000 a month in revenue. Until then, Aura is going to be a really great repricer for you. It's like $90 a month, somewhere around there. And if you can't afford that yet, then just reprice your products manually, but make sure that you're checking it at least a few times a day. Step 7 is going to be managing any kind of back-end tasks. This can be your account health, feedback, customer messages, anything that comes up, and you'll know when you need to address it because you'll get some kind of notification. So monitor your Amazon email account, monitor your Amazon Seller Central account, make sure that you're checking it at least a few times a week, if not every day at a minimum. Step 8 is going to be collect your profits. We've went through the entire process, we found our products, we've sent them in, we're pricing competitively, and we're making sales. So step 8 is to collect your profits, or preferably don't. And what I mean by that is the more you're able to reinvest your profits, the more likely your business is to grow and see success long term. I would recommend not taking out any profits if you can afford to. Hopefully you have a job or other streams of income. I would recommend not taking out your profits until you're at a point where you've reached your financial goals with Amazon. So if the goal that you wrote down at the beginning of this video was to make an extra $1,000 a month, I would recommend you don't take out any profits until you get to a point where you can take out that $1,000 a month. Otherwise, you're just going to be slowing down yourself from achieving your goals, and we don't want that at all. And that's step by step from opening your account to collecting your profits, or hopefully not. Hope you got value. If you would, consider subscribing and turn on notifications so you don't miss any uploads. Thanks for watching. Peace.